Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is our Halloween senior topics class, and I know Halloween is not for a few days yet, but this is the week that we're talking about it because it'll be here in less than a week. It will have already passed by the time I see you again. My name is June Edwards, and this is our senior topics class. I want to show you a few things that I have to help get me in the mood. This is my little ceramic pumpkin. I don't have any real ones anymore. We used to carve them when the kids were little, but now we just have the ceramic. And these are coming out now in white and black, in addition to the traditional orange. And they're coming out with all different kinds of faces. I've seen a lime green one. I've seen a bright red one. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. Then I wanted to show you one of my bottles. This was a bottle I got at Dollar Tree. And it's kind of a long one. There's the top with the skeleton and the spiders and the bats climbing up and down on the cotton there that you see. And I have stickers all the way around it. And then it says hair raising spirits, and it actually has a battery operated thing, and I can turn it on at night so that it glows and makes kind of a spooky ambience in the house. Now I also have a hat that I got at a craft fair. I love the ribbon on it, and then there's a fake spider. Of course, we know there's plenty of real spiders outside this time of year, so I can wear my hat if I feel like wearing it. And I've got that, so I'm ready for that this week too. And I've already been to one Halloween party with my grandkids at their church where everybody had to wear a mask, not a Halloween mask, but the regular mask to protect against getting the COVID-19 sickness. And one thing, they had some crafts there for the kids. The kids didn't have to be socially distanced so much since the let's see, Center for Disease Control, CDC. Yeah, I notice it's kind of bright and the sun is really shining in this morning. Excuse me just a minute. I'm going to shut a curtain here. Okay, dogs. Let's see if this makes it better, guys. You behave yourselves while I'm recording. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better, isn't it? And my dogs are here listening to everything I say. They've already been fed, so they're pretty happy. I have a book called Halloween Fun. This came out in 2005. Several of the cities are telling people do not trick or treat. This will be the first year in 35 years that I have not passed out Halloween candy to the neighbor kids. I'm going to tell them to come individually later on, maybe later in the week, and I'll have candy for them. Of course, everything's store-bought, everything's been wrapped. I wanted to show you there's some different ways of decorating your pumpkins. Look at this one down here. Isn't that interesting? And you get this special carving tool. I don't know if I could do that, but I love how they decorate from a plain old pumpkin. And I just like the art of it. I thought you'd be interested in seeing some of the pictures here of what people come up with. Look at this fellow out there in the garden. Of course, my garden's pretty much picked now. What I've got to do is go get the lettuce and the herbs and all the things for the winter garden. So there's nothing there right now. I'm getting ready to mulch it. Here's a, let me see. What do I want to show you here? Here's the treacherous trio. And each one of them is carved in a different way. I think that's kind of cool. And then here's a cowgirl. You know, I noticed more people dressing up like animals and cowgirls and cowboys this year. A lot of people did not buy costumes. In the stores, there were racks and racks of Halloween costumes, but people were just not buying them. I think they were making their own. Now, here's for the boys. Here's a cowboy. Looks like he has a Burt Reynolds mustache and the eyebrows to go with it. And look at the bandana down there at the bottom. Pretty cool. And it's just interesting, what they do. Look at this one. They actually changed the color of the pumpkin and they colored it and made it look much, much different. And then they brought out the eyes a little bit. I don't know if they would stick a candle in that. Probably not. A lot of times they don't do that. Oh, and Mr. Mummy. Can you believe the artwork and the time that goes into these pumpkins? And of course, I wanted to show you some that are lit up. Here's one carved in the shape of a bat. See his head down here. Where is it? Right up there. Oh, I can't show you. There it is, right there. There's his head. All right. Well, that's all I'll show you in here, I think. You can use pumpkins in all different ways to decorate. And then I told you last week about all the different kinds of food that are out right now. Pumpkin, and I've been enjoying the apple cider. I'm sure you're having special foods and treats at your facility too. I have a cartoon written by one of my writing friends called Who. I'm warning you, if you should meet this fellow run across the street, you'll know him by his scary grin, his jagged teeth and sallow skin. His evil eyes are most unholy. His body build is roly-poly. His empty-headed moods aren't right. Sometimes he's dull, sometimes he's bright. They said one night he flipped his lid and terrorized a little kid. So run, 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 and don't look back. And by the way, his name is Jack. And we know that's Jack-o'-lantern, huh? Jack the Pumpkin. I have a couple jokes for you. Some of them are Halloween and some are just fall. This one is of a football player who comes back to the bench and he's lost his head. And one of the players says to the others, he's going to feel that tomorrow. All right. And then here's a little kid with braces, and he and his dad are out looking for pumpkins, and he finds one. He says, I like this one, Dad. Looks just like his mouth. And then, of course, we all have leaves, or many of us, I should say, have leaves to rake. Here's how one neighbor solved the problem using his blower. Took it right over the fence. And the other guy has the benefit of all the exercise. I don't know if he appreciates that or not. And another one, here's a little kid and his dad is making him help with the raking. And he says, when trees lose their leaves, why don't they really lose them? I think he'd rather be out there playing with his buddies. And then this one describes my sentiments with all the Christmas stuff coming into the stores now. The witch comes up to Santa and says, it's only October, Buster. You're butting in on my territory. And she tells him he needs to get lost for another month or so. Well, how did Halloween start? Maybe you know, maybe you don't. And I've been looking at different sources, trying to find out the origins of it myself and give you a little bit of the history so you can enjoy all the fun even more. Halloween comes from the word All Hallows Eve or evening or All Saints Eve. It was a yearly celebration on the eve of the Western Christian feast of All Hallows Day, which celebrated the hallowed holy saints, All Saints Day. And it was dedicated to remembering the dead, including the saints, who were the hallows, the martyrs, and all the faithful departed believers. It was influenced by Celtic harvest festivals and probably has pagan roots that go way back. Typical festive Halloween activities include trick or treating, attending costume parties, and I have to say that because the state doesn't want us meeting in real big groups, they're having smaller parties, and many people are still really decorating. Their lights are up, their scary figures are out in the front lawn. They've set up a cemetery or a little thing, a little display with pumpkins, but they're still going to be doing backyard parties. Some areas they would be lighting bonfires, not here, because believe it or not, we still have some fires going in the Central Valley area of California. Apple bobbing, which is a holiday over 100 years old, telling scary stories, which goes back hundreds of years, and watching horror films like The Bride of Frankenstein, the Three Monsters, the Addams Family, and some of the different witch movies. Some people go to church on All Hallows Eve. They attend church services and light candles on the graves of the dead. But many people don't require that anymore. So instead, they will have what they call a harvest party in their church parking lot where churches are allowed to meet right now. I went to one of those, and people, like I said, were wearing the masks, wearing the costumes, and then we did something we call trunk or treat. I opened my back trunk of my car, cleaned it out, and then decorated and put a lot of my favorite Halloween decorations in there. And then I had to light it with battery lights. And then we had a bowl, and the kids could come by, and they had gloves on their hands too from their costumes. And I gave them candy. I also gave out erasers and pencils and the little decorative. Well, here's the pencil, and you put the little topper on top of it, a little skeleton head or a little pumpkin or an apple, and it's usually an eraser. And so that's what I did. Well, we know that the Gaelic, the Scots, and the Welsh really influenced folk customs and beliefs from the Celtic speaking countries. And there was kind of an uneasy truce in Ireland between their superstitions and the Catholic Church. They would dress up in the costumes of different saints on November 1st. And somehow that has gone back now to October 31st. Some people think that the custom goes back even further to Rome, when they would celebrate the different Roman gods. We know the days are getting darker and it's going into the dark part of the year. In fact, this year, you have to turn your clocks back on Halloween night because that is going to be when we change our clocks and we're going to end daylight savings and gain an extra hour of the dark. And then it will be lighter in the morning for a while. I hope that doesn't mean my dogs start waking up earlier again, because they do seem to wake up with the light. Well, let's see. What else can I tell you about the customs or the history? How did it come to North America? We think that the English colonists in the South and the Catholic colonists in Maryland recognized All Hallows Eve in their church calendars. The Puritans of New England had a strong opposition to the holiday. Many Irish and Scottish immigrants during the 1800s increased the holiday celebration. And of course, young boys loved to go around and throw smashed pumpkins, and they would go to the houses of people and say, "Give me a treat, or I will give you a trick." And some of the tricks were pretty mischievous. The annual New York Halloween parade was started in 1974 by a puppeteer and mask maker from Greenwich Village. It has been one of the world's largest Halloween parades, although this year it has been called off. So that's how that goes. Now, I was looking at what kind of costumes are popular. Well, this year they're pretty much handmade. I didn't see a lot of store-bought ones, although I must say that Goodwill is where people go to get all the accessories. But it does seem like the millennial parents enjoy making their own costumes and encouraging their kids to put things together. One of my grandsons wanted to be Robin Hood. Well, there hasn't been a Robin Hood costume in years and years. So he had to kind of make up his own idea, which was a cross between army pants and a green shirt and a cape and a sword he made out of old hangers. So that was kind of clever. And then I had a granddaughter who was a cowgirl with the flannel shirt, the bandana, and the big hat that she could get for $5 at Walmart. So, what have been the popular costumes in the area? Well, Google has a way of measuring it. They look and see what people are requesting the most if they're buying online. And they looked at store ticket receipts. In 2018, we know that, well, actually, in the year 2000, it was wizards from Harry Potter, but witches had gone down in popularity. Rock stars were somewhat popular. This year, I don't see anybody doing any professional sports figures. I see a lot of superheroes and action figures because the kids have been playing video games online, and Western wear and animals, which seem to be really growing. Haven't seen too many of the horror costumes, except teenagers still prefer that kind of thing. So, dressing in costumes has been very popular. Used to be witches and Indians and ghosts and skeletons, and a lot of that has now changed. In fact, I think that the costume party is becoming more popular. I have a cartoon here I want to show you if I can find it. I showed you most of them, but I had one. I don't know where I put it. If I get a chance, I will find it. If I can't show it to you now, may have to do it later. Okay, back to the customs. So, costume parties have replaced trick or treating in a lot of the urban areas where people do not know their neighbors. The hosts of the party will hold costume contests and have the kids march in a parade to select the favorite costumes. They also still like to bob for apples, and they like to, or they put them in a tub, a big tub of water. Did you do that when you were a child? I did. They also put them on strings, and you'd have one person on each side trying to eat it. But because of the COVID-19 rules, I don't think they're bobbing for apples this year. But they were being blindfolded and trying to pin a hat on a witch or a tail on a dragon or a nose on a clown. So things like that are still popular. And relay races have been very popular too. So I'm looking through all this stuff about the different customs. Now, where did the jack-o'-lantern come from? Well, back in the days of the Pilgrims and also back in Ireland, any kind of squash could be used. In Ireland, the turnip was particularly popular. The pumpkin comes from the New World, so that's what we've been using. There's an Irish tale that says a man named Jack, who was a drunkard and a trickster, tricked Satan into climbing a tree. Then Jack carved an image of a cross in the tree trunk trapping the devil up the tree. Jack made a deal with the devil that if he would never tempt him again for the drink, he would promise to let him down. According to the folk tale, after Jack died, he was denied entrance into heaven because of his evil ways. But he was also denied access to hell because he had tricked the devil. Instead, the devil gave him one single little ember to light his way through the cold darkness. It was placed inside a hollowed out turnip to keep it glowing longer. The Irish used the turnips as their Jack's lanterns originally to scare away any evil spirits outside their homes. In America, pumpkins were more plentiful, so that's what they lit. All right, so it was a part of the way of celebrating the end of the old year and knowing that soon a new year would be coming back. Now, I have from Charlie Brown and Snoopy, I have what's called the Peanuts Pumpkin Tales. And we dedicated followers of the Great Pumpkin must do something to rekindle the Halloween spirit. So instead of Christmas carols, we're singing at Halloween the pumpkin carols. And I'll just give you a few examples. Instead of jingle bells, we have pumpkin bells dashing through the streets in our costumes bright and gay. To each house we go, laughing all the way. Ha, 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 Halloween is here, making spirits bright. What fun it is to trick or treat, sing pumpkin carols tonight. Oh, pumpkin bells, ringing loud and clear. Oh, what fun Great Pumpkin brings when Halloween is here. And one more. We're on sidewalks, we're on porches, dressed in costumes to scare. Through the city, we're ringing the doorbells, trick or treating, candy eating, gooey stuff in our hair. But the most fun is shrieking out loud. Shivery yells, shivery yells. That's the Halloween nitty gritty. Moan and groan, leave us alone. Halloween's just one night a year. And in closing, some of the top 10 Halloween songs. Of course, the Monster Mash, which came out in 1962. I've heard that at two different Halloween parties. That's for people who grew up in the early rock and roll era. Then Michael Jackson's Thriller, which came out in 1982. That's from the best-selling album of all time. Then DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, Nightmare on My Street. And so that was a good one. And then, of course, the Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1975, the theme from the movie, that was popular. And then I remember the one from the 1960s, My Friend the Witch Doctor, he told me what to say. Ooh, ooh, ah, ting, ting, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ooh, ah, ting, ting, walla, walla, bing, bang. And I'm sure you've got somebody with a tape recorder or some kind of way of streaming some of those songs if you guys do your own sing along. So then I just wanted to say, what are you dressing up as? Are you wearing any kind of a hat or a shirt? I've got one shirt that my daughter gave me that says, I'm not scared, I have grandchildren. And that's kind of a cute one. So one more picture here. This is way back from 1920, Norman Rockwell. And I had it on one of my calendars. And I want to wish you a happy Halloween and a happy celebration. Happy harvest time, everybody. I want you to stay safe and be careful. I don't want you to get too cold. It's been down in the 50s at night. Bye, everybody. See you next week.